The letter was sitting right in the center of the billiards table, perfectly folded, waiting for me. I had just come home from work, loosened my tie, and called out for Daniel. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. The faint hum of the air conditioner and the ticking of the old clock in the hallway were the only sounds. My chest tightened as I walked toward the basement door, the smell of fresh paint and chalk dust greeting me as I stepped down. The light was still on. The table we built together gleamed under the hanging lamp. And there it was, a plain white envelope with my name written in my son's careful handwriting. Dad. Nothing else. My hands trembled as I picked it up. For a second, I thought about not opening it. But my gut told me I had to. I tore it open and unfolded the paper inside. I know you're busy. I know you love me. But I also know you haven't really been here lately. You built this room with me, but I don't know if you remember why we did it. I need to figure some things out. Don't be mad. I just need time. There was no signature. No goodbye. I dropped the letter on the table and sank onto the old stool by the wall. My mind raced. He was 16. He didn't have a car. He couldn't have gone far. The phone on the counter buzzed. A text from his best friend, Ethan. Double quotes, Mr. Carter. Did Daniel tell you where he's going? My stomach sank. I typed back quickly. No. What's going on? No reply. I grabbed my keys and rushed upstairs, heart pounding. The kitchen light flickered as I passed through, the way it always did when the wind outside pressed against the windows. I opened the front door and looked out at the quiet street. His bike was gone. The last time we had really talked, was 2 nights ago, right here in the basement. We had played a quick game before dinner. He had beaten me again, and grinned like he always did when he won. But when I reached out to pat his shoulder, he flinched slightly. Something wrong? I had asked. He had shrugged. Just tired, Dad. And I had believed him. Now, standing in the doorway with the night air rushing in, I felt a cold wave of guilt wash over me. I walked back inside and dialed his phone. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. Then, as I sat there on the edge of the couch, the memories started flooding in. The first day we painted the basement. The way he laughed when we dropped the table trying to get it through the door. The night we stayed up until midnight eating leftover pizza and playing our own made-up rules. That basement had been our bridge back to each other. So how did it become the place where he left the letter? I took a deep breath and called Ethan again. This time, he picked up. Ethan, where is he? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. There was a pause. Then, he said he was going to see someone. He didn't say who. Someone? What do you mean? I think it's about his mom, Ethan said quietly. He's been talking a lot about her lately. My grip on the phone tightened. His mother, Claire, had left when Daniel was 10. We hadn't heard from her in years. I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to remember if there had been any signs, any hints that Daniel had been trying to find her. Ethan spoke again. I'm sorry, Mr. Carter. He asked me not to tell you. Where would he go? I asked. I don't know, Ethan said. But he mentioned the park near the old train station, the one you used to take him to. I hung up before I could think too hard about it. The drive there was a blur, empty streets, traffic lights turning from red to green before I even noticed. My heart thudded with every mile. When I reached the park, the night was still. The streetlights cast long shadows across the benches and playground. I got out of the car and called his name. Daniel. No answer. I walked toward the swings, my footsteps crunching on the gravel. A chill ran down my spine as I spotted something near the old wooden bench. His jacket. I picked it up and held it close, my throat tightening. Then I saw it. A small folded paper tucked inside the jacket pocket. It was another letter. I Opened it under the glow of the streetlight. If you find this, it means I'm ready to meet her. I know you'll be mad, but I need to know the truth. You always told me honesty matters. I'll be home soon. My pulse raced. He was going to find Claire. I looked around, scanning the shadows of the park, hoping to see him walking toward me. But the silence grew heavier. Then, from behind me, I heard the crunch of footsteps on gravel. I turned quickly. A woman stood there, her face half lit by the streetlight. Her voice was soft, uncertain. "Hello, Mark," she said. I froze. It was Claire, and she was alone. The night air was heavy, but I barely noticed. My eyes stayed fixed on Claire. She looked older, more fragile than I remembered, but the same smile lingered at the corner of her lips. My mind drifted back to the day we first met. I was 25, working late at a small cafe downtown. She had walked in, hair slightly messy from the rain, eyes searching for something I couldn't name. She smiled at the counter, a little embarrassed. "Do you have any coffee left?" she asked. I handed her a steaming cup, our fingers brushing. There was something about the way she looked at the world, the mix of hope and hesitation. Something told me she wasn't just passing through. She came back the next day, and the day after, until one evening. She stayed behind after closing, talking about books, dreams, and the quiet longing that always seemed to hum in her voice. We fell into a rhythm fast. Too fast, maybe. Daniel was born a year later. I can still remember holding him for the first time, feeling that dizzying mix of awe and fear. Claire's eyes shone as she looked at him, and I thought we could handle anything. But life had a way of sneaking in cracks. Bills piled up, late nights at work, arguments over small things that shouldn't have mattered. I remember the day she left, her small suitcase in hand, the front door clicking softly behind her. "You don't listen," she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were pleading. "I don't think you understand how much this hurts me." "I do," I said, but I didn't. Not really. Then she was gone. Years passed. I tried to fill the emptiness with work, weekend projects with Daniel, the basement renovations. But the quiet in the house always reminded me of what we had lost. Here she was, standing in the park as if no time had passed. Daniel wasn't with her yet, and for a moment I felt relief and panic at the same time. Relief that she had arrived alone. Panic that I didn't know what she would do next. "Why are you here, Claire?" I asked, my voice tighter than I wanted. "I could ask you the same thing," she said, her eyes searching mine. "I came because Daniel is ready. He wants answers, and I think it's time you do too." I swallowed hard. Memories of his little face as he clutched my hand, learning to walk in the very park we were standing in now. He had been so small, so trusting. I had promised to protect him from anything, but now he was looking for someone I had once loved and let slip away. "I didn't know," I said finally. "I didn't know he wanted this. I thought maybe I misread him." She shook her head slowly. "He's been planning this for weeks. He wrote those letters so you'd follow. He wanted you to see that he isn't a child anymore. He wants to understand his past." I remembered the first time I saw Daniel ride his bike here without training wheels. He had wobbled, then laughed when he almost fell. I had cheered him on, clapping, heart full of pride. That same feeling of helpless love filled me now, watching him grow into someone brave enough to seek out answers on his own. We walked toward the swings, memories of laughter and scraped knees filling the air. The park hadn't changed much. The train tracks in the distance, the old oak tree where Daniel had once tied a ribbon for his mom. It all seemed frozen in time. I spotted a small toy near the sandbox, a red plastic car. My heart tightened. He had left it there last summer, a small memento of happier days. I picked it up and held it tightly. Claire watched me, silent. Finally, she said, "I didn't come here to fight. I came because I realized something I should have seen years ago." "What's that?" I asked. She hesitated, biting her lip, and then looked me straight in the eyes. "I left because I thought you didn't care. I thought you were too caught up in work and life to notice me, or Daniel, or us. But you were always trying. You just didn't see me struggling, and I ran before I understood that." I felt a lump in my throat. Years of unanswered questions, sleepless nights, and half-formed regrets poured out in a single moment. "I always cared," I whispered, even when I didn't know how to show it. Her eyes softened, but there was still distance. "And now?" "Now," I said, "I want to be part of his life in every way I can. I'll fix what I broke. I'll try, I promise." Claire nodded, but then her expression changed. She reached into her bag and pulled out something folded carefully. She handed it to me. It was an old photo of the three of us. Daniel as a toddler, Claire smiling behind him, and me kneeling beside the small pool table in our old apartment. I remembered that night vividly. We had set up the table in the living room because we couldn't afford a proper game room. Daniel had banged the balls around, laughing uncontrollably, while Claire and I had tried to act serious, laughing too. Tears blurred my vision. I held the photo carefully, remembering the happiness I had taken for granted. Then she whispered, "He kept this photo too. He didn't want you to see it yet." My heart skipped. Daniel had kept something from me. Something important. Something that might explain why he had left the letters. I looked up at Claire. "Where is he?" She hesitated, then pointed toward the far end of the park near the train tracks. "He's waiting, but he doesn't know if he's ready for what he'll hear from you." I swallowed hard, gripping the photo. The twist hit me suddenly. The letters weren't just about him finding his mother. They were about him understanding both of us, and the choices we made. And now I realized I didn't just have to face Claire. I had to face the son I had almost lost. Daniel was sitting on the edge of the old wooden bench, knees pulled up, staring at the train tracks. The night had settled into a soft calm, the distant hum of the city mixing with the occasional whistle of a passing train. I approached slowly, careful not to startle him. Claire stayed back, letting me take the first step. "Hey," I said softly. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, tense and shaky. He didn't look up at first. Just the faint movement of his shoulders, a small sign that he heard me. "Daniel," I tried again. He finally turned his head. His eyes were wide, guarded, and I felt the weight of all the missed years in that single glance. He looked older than I remembered, taller, sharper, more self-assured, but still the boy who had clutched my hand in the park when he learned to ride his bike. "I didn't mean to worry you," he said quietly, his voice tight. "You did," I admitted, sitting down on the bench beside him. I was worried sick. There was a pause, and I watched him wrestle with something. Finally, he let out a small sigh. I needed to know. I needed to see her. To see you both." I nodded slowly. I understood that feeling. It was the same mix of hope and fear that had driven me to follow him here. "I know," I said. Claire stayed a few steps behind us, watching silently. She didn't say a word, but her presence was steady, reassuring. Daniel's gaze shifted to the tracks, to the fading light in the distance. "I kept the letters," he said suddenly. "I wrote them over and over, but I couldn't send them. I wasn't sure you'd understand." I felt a lump rise in my throat. "I'm listening now." He hesitated, then held up a folded piece of paper. It was covered in neat handwriting, the same careful style from before. I didn't just want answers. I wanted, I don't know, proof that things weren't all my fault. That I wasn't the one who broke us apart. Daniel, I said, my voice catching. You were never at fault. Never. You couldn't have stopped what happened. You were just a kid. And even now, seeing how brave you are, I see how strong you've become. He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw something shift in his eyes. The hard edge of fear and doubt softened, replaced with a cautious hope. You really mean that? I nodded, reaching out to rest a hand on his shoulder. Every word. He swallowed and let out a shaky laugh. I guess I wanted to make sure you'd say it. That you'd care. I've always cared, I said firmly, even when I didn't know how to show it. A train whistle blew in the distance. The sound made Daniel flinch slightly, and I remembered the first time he had been afraid of loud noises when he was little. How I had held him and whispered that it would be okay. That memory made the ache in my chest even sharper. He looked down at the letter again, then slowly unfolded it. I wrote about everything. About the nights I missed you. About wondering why she left. About everything I felt. I didn't interrupt. I just listened as he read snippets quietly to himself, the words carrying the weight of years. And in the soft glow of the streetlights, I realized how much had stayed unspoken between us. When he finished, he looked up at me, eyes glistening. I wanted to believe it wasn't too late, but I wasn't sure you'd want me back. I felt tears prick the corners of my eyes. I've always wanted you back, Daniel. I just didn't know how to reach you. He nodded, a small shiver running through him. Then he said something that stopped me in my tracks. I forgive her, he whispered, glancing toward Claire. And I hope she can forgive me too. Claire stepped forward slowly, her hand extended. I never stopped caring about you, Daniel, she said. I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know how to stay. He hesitated, then took her hand, and for a moment, it was like the years melted away. But then he turned back to me, his gaze serious. Dad, I need to know. Can we really fix this? Can we be like we used to be? I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of all those lost years, and the fragile hope that had brought us here. We'll try, I said quietly. I don't know exactly how, but we'll figure it out together. He nodded slowly, his jaw tight. Okay, I want to try. We sat in silence for a few moments, the city humming around us. Then Daniel looked down at the photo he had kept in his pocket. The one of the three of us at the old apartment, crowded around the tiny pool table. He unfolded it carefully and held it out to me. I kept this, he said. Because even when things went wrong, I didn't want to forget the good. I wanted to remember us. I took the photo gently, tracing the edges with my thumb. Me too, I admitted. Me too. The truth hung in the air between us. A fragile, hopeful truth that we could rebuild something. But there was still so much to say, so much to understand. And the night felt too short. Then he looked up, eyes shining, and said softly, There's something else. Something I found while I was looking for answers. I frowned, leaning closer. What is it? His hands trembled slightly as he reached into his jacket pocket. I didn't know whether to feel fear or hope as he slowly pulled out a small envelope, sealed and addressed in handwriting I didn't recognize. I think this might explain everything, he said. And just like that, I realized the night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Daniel's hands trembled as he held the small envelope, turning it over like it weighed more than paper and ink. I leaned closer, heart pounding, the night around us silent, but for the occasional distant train. Claire stayed back, watching us both, her expression unreadable. Where did you find this? I asked softly, Daniel swallowed, glancing at the envelope again. In Mom's old drawer. I was helping her clean before she left for work today. It was tucked away with some papers I wasn't supposed to see yet. I nodded slowly. Go on. He hesitated, then tore the seal and unfolded the letter inside. The handwriting was familiar, delicate, precise. Not Claire's. Not mine. It was from her. The mother he had never really met. The one who left without explanation. Mark, I can't do this anymore. I love him, I always will, but I cannot stay. I am afraid I will hurt him more than help. He deserves stability, a father who can be present, and a life without my mistakes hanging over him. I hope one day he can forgive me, and that you can forgive me too. Please do not blame him. Love, Claire. I blinked. The words hit me in a way I hadn't expected. For years, I had imagined the worst, that she had left because of me, because I wasn't enough, because she didn't care. But here it was, written clearly, honestly. She had left because she cared, because she loved him too much to stay and risk breaking him. Daniel looked at me, eyes wide. She loved us. All this time. I nodded, swallowing hard. She did. I misread everything. I thought she was leaving because of anger, because she didn't care. But it was the opposite. She was afraid. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing a little. I thought I was angry at you, Dad. I thought you didn't want her. I thought it was all my fault. No, I said, standing and walking toward him. I put a hand on his shoulder. Nothing about this was your fault. You were a kid, Daniel. You were perfect in all of this. We all made mistakes in how we handled it. He nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. I kept thinking if I could find her, if I could talk to her, maybe I'd understand why. But I didn't realize I also needed to understand you. I looked at him, really looked, and I realized how much he had grown. The boy who had once clung to my hand now stood with his own strength, willing to face the truths we had avoided for so long. Claire stepped closer then, her voice quiet but steady. Daniel, I never wanted you to carry this weight alone. And I never wanted to see you blame yourself or Mark for my choices. I only left because I thought it was the best way to protect you both. He looked at her, and I saw the conflict in his eyes. The longing, the pain, the love, all tangled together. I get it now, he whispered. I understand why. But it still hurts. I know, she said. It still hurts for me too. Every day. I felt a lump in my throat. We can't change the past. But we can be here now. We can try to be a family in the way we always should have been. He looked between us, eyes shining. I want that. But I don't know if it's that simple. It's never simple, I said, voice low. But if we're honest, if we really talk and listen, we can start again. We don't need perfect. We just need each other. Daniel ran his hands along the edge of the bench, as if steadying himself. I need to know. You two didn't leave me alone because you didn't love me, right? Never, I said firmly. We loved you more than anything. That's why we made choices that felt impossible at the time. We wanted to protect you, even if it hurt us too. He nodded, tears threatening, but he held them back. I think I understand. I need time to forgive too. Claire reached out, placing a hand over his. And I'll wait as long as you need. I want you to forgive yourself as much as me. The moment felt like it could break open at any second. All the years of fear, anger, and longing hung in the air. Daniel's eyes shifted from Claire to me and back again. Then he said something that stopped both of us. There's something else in the drawer. Something she left me to give to you, Dad, when the time was right. I frowned. What is it? He held up another envelope. bigger than the first, worn at the edges. He hesitated before opening it. My heart raced as I saw the words on the front. It was addressed to me, and the handwriting made my chest tighten. Daniel looked at me, a mix of fear and hope on his face. I think this will change everything we thought we knew about why she left. I reached for it slowly, aware that one letter could rewrite years of hurt, misunderstanding, and longing. The night suddenly felt colder, heavier, filled with the weight of a secret we were about to uncover. And as I unfolded the paper, the first words hit me like a punch. Mark, I need to tell you the truth about that night. I froze. The truth we had been waiting for was finally here. I held the envelope in my hands, trembling slightly. Daniel watched me, eyes wide and expectant, while Claire stayed a step behind, silent but present. I unfolded the letter slowly, the paper crisp under my fingers. Mark, I need to tell you the truth about that night. I left because I thought I had no other choice. I wanted to stay, I really did. But the fight we had made me believe I was causing more harm than good. I left thinking you'd be better off without me, but I was wrong. Daniel needed both of us, and I wasn't brave enough to face my own fear of failing him. I hope one day he can forgive me. And I hope you can too. Claire. The words hit me in a way I had never expected. All the years of confusion, the anger I had held, the loneliness I had carried, they weren't true reflections of her love. She had left out of fear, not because she didn't care. She had tried to protect us, in her own flawed way. I looked at Daniel. His hands were clenched in his lap, his eyes shining with unshed tears. Dad, he whispered, voice tight, she really loved us all along. I nodded, swallowing hard. She did. And she still does. He leaned back against the bench, letting the weight of it all settle. I think I can forgive her. And I think I can forgive you too, Dad. For the years I thought you didn't care. For the times I thought I had to face everything alone. My chest ached, and I felt tears gather. I reached out and pulled him into a hug. He stiffened at first, then relaxed against me, the tension of years melting with the warmth of this simple gesture. Claire stepped closer, her hand brushing Daniel's shoulder. I never stopped caring, she said softly. I was afraid, and I made mistakes, but I've always loved you both. Daniel nodded, a small smile breaking through his tears. I know now. I see it. I needed to know the truth for myself. We sat there for a long time in silence, the soft glow of the park lights illuminating our faces. The city hum faded into the background, and for a moment, it felt like we were the only 3 people in the world. I thought about the basement, our old project, and how it had brought us together again. It wasn't just a room with a pool table. It was the place we rebuilt our connection. Piece by piece, brushstroke by brushstroke. I realized that the true foundation of that room wasn't wood or paint. It was trust, patience, and love. Daniel looked up at me, eyes bright. Can we go home now? I want to tell Mom about everything. I want to be a family again. I smiled, feeling a relief I hadn't known I could feel after so many years. Yes, we can. Let's go home together. As we walked back to the car, the night air seemed warmer and lighter. Claire walked beside us, matching our pace, no words necessary. There was something healing in that quiet, the understanding that despite years of silence and distance, we could finally move forward. Before we reached the car, Daniel stopped and bent down. He picked up something from the gravel, a small red ribbon tied in a knot. I recognized it immediately. He had tied it around the oak tree in the park years ago, hoping his mother would see it when she returned. He handed it to Claire. I saved this for you, I guess. I never really let go. She knelt and took it, smiling through tears. "Neither did I," she whispered. I watched them together, my heart swelling with a mix of relief and gratitude. It struck me how small gestures could carry so much meaning. How something as simple as a ribbon could hold years of love, hope, and longing. Daniel turned to me, still holding my hand. "Dad, can we start over?" I squeezed his hand tightly. "We can start over every day if we want. We'll do it together." He smiled, the kind of smile that lights up everything around it. Claire reached out, taking both our hands in hers. And we stood there for a moment, three of us connected in a way that had been missing for far too long. As we got into the car and drove home, I glanced at the back seat where Daniel had placed the letters and the ribbon. They were small things, ordinary things, yet they carried a weight that no argument, no misunderstanding, could ever erase. I realized then that love doesn't always fade. It waits, quietly, patiently, even when years pass. It waits for honesty, for courage, for the moment we are ready to forgive and be forgiven. And as we drove under the streetlights, the city stretching endlessly ahead, I felt a peace I hadn't known in years. We weren't perfect, and the past would always be part of us. But we had each other. We had truth, and that was more than enough. For the first time in a long time, I believed we could finally be whole again. And I knew, without a doubt, that this was the start of a new chapter, a chapter where love, forgiveness, and family would always come first.